Thank you, everyone, for staying late and listening to the last speech here. I was asked to talk about water and adaptation in the context of decision support, which is an important aspect of all of this. And I was really glad to hear Jean-Francois talk earlier about the UNECE report on what is the significance of adaptation in transboundary basins. And I think that the several important things come up here. One is that it helps to prevent negative impacts of unilateral adaptation measures. That transboundary agreements have to be flexible. Ones that are based on absolute water volumes are going to be problematic when you have lower or higher volumes, particularly lower. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about decision support systems. They're very important for the purposes of gathering data, analyzing data, coming up with decisions that one might want to make in a basin. I think we all understand the Middle Eastern basins at this point, and that we're talking about the Nile Basin here, which is one of the larger and more important basins in the area. Not the most important, none of them are the most important, but it's certainly one of the more important ones. In the basin, obviously we have the two main branches, the White Nile and the Blue Nile. Focus on the Blue Nile here a moment because it provides so much of the downstream water in the basin. And thinking about what our best efforts at modeling future climate are telling us in the basin, well, one of the things it's telling us is that the stream flow, the precipitation and the resulting stream flow in the basin is going to increase. Okay, that's the good news. The bad news is that the variability is also going to increase, so that the problem of managing this water becomes more stressed because you have higher flows and you have lower flows. And if you don't have the appropriate storage to capture and manage those flows, you're going to be in a problematic situation. So adaptation in the Nile Basin is very uncertain in terms of climate change impacts. And these adaptation problems are going to require some changing practices at local scales, which was mentioned earlier, some of the different irrigation techniques and things like this, and also the engagement of local governments and communities to decentralize and enhance the participation in decision-making processes are going to be very critical to actually seeing effective adaptation practices put into place. So in the basin of the Nile, the models are suggesting that there will be an increase in the mean flow, but there will be also an even larger increase in the variability. So this can lead to a decreased reliability of the water resources and potentially an increased need for storage in the basin. And this is something that I think, going along with our previous discussions today about the storage projects in the basin, this is something that's very important. Decision support in the basin, the good news here is that it's fairly well developed. The Nile Basin decision support system has been developed. It's been intended to deal with a wide variety of problems and to provide information to the decision makers, to the ministers, to the diplomats, and others that are dealing with these problems. And so this software is quite well developed. It's very well populated with data. It's being used. However, I think that in reality, we know that this kind of information provides only a certain percentage of the information that is necessary in the decision-making process. That all of the other things that we've spent so much time this afternoon talking about are almost more critical to this process. So on that note, I'm going to stop and let everyone enjoy their evening and say thank you very much to the organizers and the audience.